My name is Opal, and I am 58 years old. For the past 3 years since my husband Leo passed, my home has been my sanctuary. My son Derek and his wife Chloe were my frequent welcome visitors. I trusted them with my spare key. That trust felt as solid as the old oak tree in my backyard. Until last Tuesday afternoon, when a routine check of my newly fixed security system showed me something that made my blood run cold. Before we go any further, I would love to know where you are listening to my story from today. If my voice is reaching you in your car, in your kitchen, or wherever you find a quiet moment, please let me know in the comments below. If stories about real life family and the strength we find when we are tested resonate with you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. Your support means more than you know, and it helps others find this community. Now, let me tell you what I saw. I had just gotten back from my yoga class. The house was quiet the way I like it in the afternoons. Sunlight streamed through the lace curtains in the living room, catching dust motes dancing in the air. I put my bag down on the kitchen counter right next to the little pile of mail and the bottle of my multivitamins. I was waiting for my friend Marisol to call. We had a silly bet going about a fat raccoon family that was visiting my backyard, and I had promised to check the security camera footage to see if the mama raccoon had brought her babies again. I remember smiling as I picked up my phone. Leo and I had never bothered with cameras, but Derek and Chloe had been so insistent after Mrs. Millerson down the street had a package stolen. They said they would worry less if I had a system. Derek, my son, he took care of the whole installation himself about a month ago. A real do-it-yourselfer, just like his father. But the system had glitched almost immediately. The outdoor cameras would go offline, the app would freeze. Derek tried to fix it, but he had a big business trip come up. He said he would sort it when he got back. In the meantime, I had called the security company. A young technician named Ben came out 2 days ago, found a faulty connector and replaced it. He showed me on my phone how the app was now live, all 4 camera views crisp and clear. I meant to text Derek to tell him it was working. But you know how it is. Life gets in the way. I forgot. So that Tuesday, I opened the Secure Home app for the first time since Ben's visit. I tapped on the backyard camera view. There was the bird feeder, the edge of my garden bed where the hydrangeas were just starting to bud. No raccoons. I switched to the front porch view. Nothing out of the ordinary. It felt strange watching my own empty spaces. Then, more out of curiosity than anything, I tapped on the living room camera. It was set to motion activation. The timeline at the bottom showed little orange bars for activity. I saw one for this morning when I came downstairs, and then I saw a thick bar for just after noon today. That was odd. I had been at the grocery store, and then the library after yoga. No one should have been in my house. A cold little trickle, like a drop of ice water, slipped down my spine. Maybe the motion sensor caught the sunlight shifting. Maybe the cat from next door got in. I had given Derek and Chloe a key, but they always called before coming over. I tapped the playback for the noon activity. The video loaded. The timestamp read 12:17 p.m. And there they were, Derek and Chloe, in my living room. My breath, which I did not realize I was holding, came out in a shaky sigh. Oh, of course. They must have stopped by as a surprise. A warm feeling started to push the chill away. Derek was over by Leo's old mahogany desk, the one he had built himself. Chloe was standing near the fireplace holding her phone up, slowly panning it across the room. They were not talking to each other. Their postures were not relaxed like visitors. They were focused, intent. Derek had one of the desk drawers open. My heart gave a hard, uncomfortable thud. That drawer held Leo's old fishing licenses, our marriage certificate, the kids' social security cards, private things, family things. I turned up the volume on my phone. Chloe's voice came through clear and smooth, but with a strange practiced tone of concern. And you can see here, she was saying, her phone's lens moving across the cluttered coffee table, where my current library book, a mug from this morning, and the TV remote sat the general state of disarray. It's a significant tripping hazard. And over here, she panned to the side table next to my reading chair, which held two more books, a pair of reading glasses, and a small neat pile of paid bills waiting to be filed, more clutter. It's just not like her. The Opal I knew was meticulous. My blood went from eyes to a slow simmer. The Opal she knew. She had known me for 6 years. I watched, frozen, as Derek nodded solemnly, turning from the desk drawer to face Chloe's phone. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture he always made when he was stressed. "It's true," he said, his voice heavy with a false grief that made my stomach turn. Mom's ability to maintain order has really deteriorated since Dad died. I'm deeply concerned for her safety in this environment. It's just not secure. I stared at the screen. Deteriorated, not secure. They were talking about my home. They were filming it like it was a crime scene, narrating its normal, lived-in state as evidence of some terrible decline. The warm feeling was gone, obliterated by a wave of nausea. This was not a surprise visit. This was a mission. And I was the target. My fingers were trembling so badly, I almost dropped the phone. I gripped the kitchen counter, the cool granite biting into my palms. The video kept playing. Chloe lowered her phone and walked over to Derek. They were out of the main camera frame for a moment. Their voices muffled. I frantically swiped the timeline backwards. There were more orange bars. Last Thursday afternoon. The previous Monday morning. Times when I had been out at my book club or at a doctor's appointment. With a sense of dread that felt like a physical weight on my chest, I tapped on the clip from the previous Monday. The footage opened. Same living room. Derek was now carefully, deliberately pulling a few books from the shelf and leaving them stacked awkwardly on the floor. Chloe was in the kitchen, just visible through the doorway. I switched to the kitchen camera view with a tap. She was opening and closing cabinets. Then she took a box of oatmeal from the pantry and placed it on the counter next to the sink. Then she moved my daily pill organizer from its usual spot next to the coffee maker and set it down haphazardly near the edge of the counter next to the fruit bowl. She stepped back, framed it with her phone, and said softly, "Medication management is clearly becoming an issue. This is a serious risk." I could not breathe. This was premeditated. This was a campaign. They were staging my life, my safe and comfortable and slightly messy life, to look like the domain of someone who was losing her grip, someone incompetent, someone who needed to be saved or controlled. The memory of Derek's questions over our weekly dinners flashed before my eyes. "Hey Mom, you remember to take your blood pressure pill today? Did you forget to lock the front door again last night? I drove by and saw it open. You seem a little more scattered lately. Everything okay?" I had chalked it up to a son's worry, a clumsy, overbearing expression of love. Now I saw it for what it was: intelligence gathering, probing for weaknesses to document. I went back to the most recent video, the one from today. I needed to hear the rest. I needed to know how deep this went. After their staged assessment, Derek and Chloe sat down on my sofa, the very sofa Leo and I had bought when Derek graduated college. They thought the camera was off. They thought they were alone. Chloe spoke first, her voice now devoid of that faux concern all business. "I spoke with my colleague in estate law. With these videos and the evaluation from the psychiatrist we're scheduling, we have a strong case for filing for guardianship. She won't be able to fight it." A sharp, silent scream echoed in my head. Guardianship. The word hung in the air of my silent kitchen, toxic and heavy. They wanted to take my rights away. Derek let out a long sigh. It wasn't a sigh of remorse. It was a sigh of exertion, of someone facing a difficult but necessary task. "I just hope Mom doesn't put up a fight. This really is for her own good." He paused, and the next words came out so casually. They were monstrous. "And once we have control of the finances and this house, selling it will clear up our investment debt. That new property development Chloe's firm is pushing needs capital." The world tilted. My house, our investment debt, Leo's desk, my garden, the oak tree. It was all just an asset to them, an obstacle to their financial ambitions. Chloe nodded, a tight, satisfied smile on her face. "We'll find her a nice assisted living facility, someplace safe." The video ended. The screen went dark, reflecting my own pale, stunned face. 10 minutes, that was all it had taken. 10 minutes of watching, and I knew everything. I knew the careful facade of the last year had been a lie. I knew my only child saw me not as his mother, but as a problem to be solved, an asset to be liquidated. The pain was so acute, so total, it was beyond tears. It was a void, a silent howling emptiness, where my love for him used to be. I did not cry. I placed the phone carefully on the counter. The silence in the house was no longer peaceful. It was accusing. It was complicit. Every object in view, the cluttered counter, the book on the table, felt like a piece of their evidence. I had to move. I had to think. But first, I could not be alone with this knowledge. I picked up the phone again, my movements mechanical, and I called the only person I knew would understand urgency without explanation. Marisol, I said when she answered, my voice strangely flat and calm. I need you to come over, right now. Don't ask. Just come. Marisol arrived within 20 minutes. She took one look at my face, put a bag of pastries from our favorite bakery on the table without a word, and poured us both a glass of water. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and waited. I slid my phone across to her, the videos queued up. I watched her face as she watched. The initial confusion, then the dawning horror, then the settled grim fury. Marisol had been a nurse for 40 years. She had seen every kind of family drama, every variety of human betrayal at the bedside. But this happening to her best friend ignited a cold fire in her eyes. She put the phone down gently. Those little snakes, she said, her voice low and steady. Opal, I am so sorry. That was all it took. The dam broke. I put my head in my hands and sobbed. Great heaving sobs that came from a place 3 years deep, mourning Leo all over again, and now mourning the living son I had just lost. Marisol let me cry her hand, a firm, warm pressure on my shoulder. When I was spent, hollowed out, she pushed the glass of water toward me. Drink, now we plan. You cannot let them know you know. Not yet. We talked for 2 hours. The initial shock was hardening into a sharp, clear purpose. Marisol was my strategist. First, she said, holding up a finger, you download every second of those videos. Save them in multiple places. Your computer, a cloud drive, a USB stick. I'll keep one. Second, you need a lawyer. A shark. Not Gerald yet. We love Gerald, but he's too close to the family. You need someone who only answers to you. She was right. Gerald had been Leo's friend and our family attorney for decades. His loyalty might be divided, or Derek might have already spoken to him. Third, Marisol continued, you play their game. You act a little more forgetful, a little more frail. Let them feel confident. Let them set up this psychiatric evaluation. But she pointed at me, you go to your own doctor tomorrow. Get a full independent cognitive and physical workup. Establish your own baseline of competence. It felt good to have a plan. It gave the torrent of pain and anger a channel. And the evaluation they're setting up, I asked, my voice raspy. A slow smile spread across Marisol's face. It wasn't a nice smile. You go, and you bring a friend, me. Or better yet, you hire a patient advocate or a legal observer to be in that room with you. Check your state's recording laws. If it's a one-party consent state, you record the whole damn thing. The woman was a genius. I felt a flicker of something that wasn't pain. It was determination. The next few days were a strange performance. I went to my primary care physician, Dr. Evans. I told her I needed a thorough checkup, including a referral for a neuropsychological assessment for my own peace of mind. I was blunt. My son is suggesting I'm declining. I want to know the truth from an unbiased source. Dr. Evans, who had known me for 15 years, raised an eyebrow but agreed. The tests were scheduled. Meanwhile, Derek called. Hey mom, how are you holding up? His voice was coated in syrup concern. Oh, I said, letting my voice sound a bit thinner, a bit more vague. Just a little tired, dear. Forgot where I put my car keys yesterday, had to use the spare. Silly me. I could almost hear the wheels turning in his head, the satisfaction. See, that's what I mean, Mom. We're worried. Chloe knows a wonderful geriatric psychiatrist. Dr. Greenbaum. Very respected, we've made an appointment for you next Thursday, just as a precaution. I closed my eyes, swallowing the bile that rose in my throat. Well, if you think it's best, Derek. You always look out for me. The words tasted like ash. It's for your own good, Mom, he said, echoing the phrase from the video. I wanted to scream. I called the lawyer. Marisol recommended Amanda Pierce. Her firm specialized in elder law and predatory family cases. In her sleek, quiet office, I showed her the videos. She watched, her expression professional and unreadable. When they finished, she steepled her fingers. Mrs. Opal, this is as clear a case of undue influence and attempted financial exploitation. As I've seen, she said. They are constructing a narrative of incapacity to gain control of your estate. The guardianship petition will be their weapon. Our job is to dismantle it before they even file, or to be so prepared that it gets dismissed immediately. She outlined the steps. We would petition the court for a preemptive order against harassment. We would marshal my evidence, the security footage, my independent medical evaluation, my financial records, which were impeccable. We would also subpoena Derek and Chloe's financial records, looking for the investment debt they mentioned. Amanda also advised me to formally revoke any power of attorney Derek might have had, and to create new advanced directives, naming Marisol and eventually Gerald as my agents. And the appointment with Dr. Greenbaum, I asked. You will attend, Amanda said. And you will be recording it. This state is a one-party consent state. I will also have a paralegal introduced as your note-taker for your own records accompany you. Let them play their hand. The following week was a blur of clandestine activity. I met with Gerald finally. I showed him the videos. The old man wept. He apologized for not seeing it, for not protecting me. He immediately got to work on the new will and the durable powers of attorney, disinheriting Derek, except for a single symbolic dollar. To show the court it was a conscious, deliberate choice, not an oversight, he explained. He also helped me secure my finances, putting alerts on all my accounts. The day of the evaluation with Dr. Greenbaum arrived. I dressed carefully, not too put together, but clean and respectable. I carried a small handbag. Inside was my phone set to record. Amanda's paralegal, a calm young woman named Sarah, met me in the waiting room, introduced herself to the receptionist as my companion. Dr. Greenbaum's office was overly warm, the furniture too plush. He himself was a man in his 60s with a condescending smile. He began with seemingly benign questions about my daily routine, but they quickly took a turn. Do you often find yourself confused about the time of day? He asked. No more than anyone else who is retired and doesn't punch a clock, I answered evenly. Your son reports you've been leaving the stove on. Is that true? My son has never been in my home when the stove is on. I'm an excellent cook and I'm very safety conscious. I kept my voice mild. He made notes. I see here some concern about financial mismanagement. Do you find your bills confusing? I smiled. I was a high school English teacher for 35 years, Dr. Greenbaum. I taught Shakespeare and calculus students how to write essays. I believe I can manage a utility bill. In fact, I just filed my own taxes. He shifted in his chair, glancing at a file, Derek and Chloe's file, no doubt. Your living environment is described as cluttered, hazardous. I live in my home, I said simply. It is not a museum. It is a lived-in space. I would be happy to give you a tour. You can assess the hazards for yourself. The evaluation lasted an hour. He asked me to draw a clock to remember 3 words. I did it all perfectly. Sarah took diligent notes. When it was over, I felt drained but victorious. The trap they had set was closing, but not around me. The summons came 2 weeks later, delivered by a sheriff's deputy to my door. A petition for guardianship of the person and estate of Opal Marie Henderson, filed by her son, Derek Allen Henderson. Attached were sworn declarations from Derek and Chloe, describing my rapid cognitive decline and inability to maintain a safe environment. There were blurry photos of my kitchen counter and living room. And there was a report from Dr. Greenbaum. Amanda got a copy. It was as damning as we expected, full of insinuations, and based on the collateral history provided by Derek and Chloe, directly contradicting his own in-person findings, which he dismissed as possible fronting by the patient. Amanda was not upset. She was thrilled. "This is perfect," she said. "His report is so blatantly biased, it will discredit their entire petition. They've shown their hand." The hearing was scheduled for a month away. Amanda advised against any contact with Derek. He called, texted, emailed. "Mom, we need to talk about this. It's a legal formality to get you the help you need." I did not respond. In that month, we built our case. My independent neuropsych evaluation came back stellar. Above average for your age group in executive function and memory, the psychologist said. We gathered affidavits from Marisol, from my book club friends, from my neighbor, who saw me gardening every day, all attesting to my sound mind and independence. Amanda subpoenaed Derek and Chloe's bank records. They revealed what the video had hinted at: massive debt from a speculative real estate investment that had gone sour. The motive was now crystal clear, quantifiable, and documented. The day of the hearing arrived. It was held in a small wood-paneled courtroom. Derek and Chloe sat at one table with their lawyer, a sleek man in an expensive suit. They looked confident, even concerned. They did not look at me. I sat with Amanda and Gerald at the other table. My hands were steady. Their lawyer presented his case first, painting a picture of a frail, confused widow headed for disaster. He played snippets of Chloe's staged videos for the judge. He cited Dr. Greenbaum's report. Then it was Amanda's turn. She stood calm and poised. "Your Honor, what you have just witnessed is not evidence of incapacity. It is evidence of a conspiracy." She began by introducing me, not as a subject of a petition, but as Opal Henderson, retired teacher, homeowner, taxpayer. Then she played the videos, not the snippets, but the full unedited recordings from my security system. The courtroom was silent. As the judge watched Derek rummage through the desk, heard Chloe's false narration, and then critically heard their conversation on the sofa about guardianship debt and selling my house, the color drained from Derek's face. Chloe stared straight ahead, her jaw clenched. Amanda then presented my independent medical evaluation. She presented the affidavits from my friends. Finally, she presented the bank records, highlighting the debt. "This, Your Honor, is the help the petitioners wish to provide. This is not about protection. It is about predation. They sought to manufacture incapacity to solve their own financial problems by liquidating my client's home and assets." Derek's lawyer objected, flustered. He was overruled. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, needed no more. She called Derek and Chloe to the stand. Under oath, their story unraveled. They contradicted themselves. They tried to claim the video was taken out of context, that they were just expressing concern. The judge did not buy it. When they stepped down, she spoke. "This petition," she said, her voice cutting through the stuffy air, "is not only without merit, it appears to be founded on a deliberate and malicious attempt to mislead this court and to exploit Mrs. Henderson. The evidence of undue influence and attempted financial exploitation is compelling and deeply troubling. Petition for guardianship is denied in its entirety. I'm also referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential investigation into fraud and elder abuse. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, you are fortunate Mrs. Henderson is not pressing criminal charges at this moment. Consider yourselves warned." The gavel fell. It was over. I walked out of the courthouse between Amanda and Gerald. The late morning sun was bright. I felt light, unburdened, and utterly exhausted. Derek rushed out after me, his confidence shattered, replaced by a frantic, pale desperation. Mom, please, wait. It wasn't like that. We were scared for you. We made mistakes, we got bad advice. I stopped and turned to face him. I looked at my son, the boy I had raised, the man he had become. The anger was gone. In its place was a vast, cool emptiness. There was no love left there to hurt. It had been scraped out. It was exactly like that, Derek. I said, my voice quiet but clear. I saw it. I heard it. The judge saw it. There is no bad advice that tells you to stage your mother's home to declare her insane so you can sell her house. That came from you. He flinched, as if I'd struck him. "Mom, I'm your son." "I don't have a son," I said. And the truth of it, while devastating, was also a release. "Not anymore. Do not contact me again. Any further communication will go through my attorney." I turned and got into Gerald's car. I did not look back. The practical tasks that followed were my therapy. I changed every lock on my doors. I shredded the old will and powers of attorney. I signed the new ones with Marisol and Gerald's names, where Derek's used to be. I wrote a short formal letter to Derek and Chloe, sent via certified mail, reiterating my wish for no contact and informing them of the disinheritance. It was not vengeful. It was a boundary drawn in permanent ink. The district attorney's office did open an inquiry. They interviewed me. I gave them all the evidence. In the end, they decided not to prosecute, citing the civil court's ruling as sufficient remedy and the difficulty of criminal proof. It was a relief in a way. I did not want to see Derek in jail. I just wanted him out of my life. The house was quiet again, but the silence was different now. It was mine. I owned it completely. I was not waiting for a call, not bracing for a visit. I went through a phase of ruthless decluttering, not because I was proving anything to anyone, but because I wanted only things that brought me peace. Leo's desk stayed, of course, cleaned and polished. I planted new flowers in the garden, bold red tulips that would come back every spring. I joined a hiking group for seniors. I took a poetry writing class at the community college. Marisol and I went on a weekend trip to the coast, eating seafood and laughing until our sides hurt. The pain did not disappear. It sat in a corner of my heart, a small cold stone. But it no longer controlled the room. One evening, months later, I was sitting in my reading chair. The house was clean but lived in. A single mug on the coaster, one book on the side table. I picked up my phone and, out of habit, opened the Secure Home app. I clicked through the camera views, the peaceful backyard, the empty front porch, the tidy living room. I did not feel fear. I did not feel suspicion. I felt a profound sense of safety. I had faced the worst betrayal from within my inner circle, and I had survived. I had protected my home. More importantly, I had protected myself. The journey from that shocking discovery to where I am now has been the hardest of my life. Losing a spouse to death is a natural, if agonizing, grief. Losing a child to greed and deception is an unnatural fracture that changes your understanding of the world. My healing did not come from forgiveness. I have not forgiven Derek and Chloe. I may never. And I have learned that is okay. Forgiveness is not a mandatory step on the road to peace. My peace came from action, from taking back control piece by piece, from the clear-eyed decision to remove people who wished me harm from my life regardless of their relation to me. It came from leaning on the love of true friends, from rediscovering my own strength, and from the simple daily act of choosing a life that brings me joy. The deepest lesson I learned is this: trust is not a blanket you throw over everyone in your family. It is a lantern you carry, illuminating the path at your own feet. Sometimes that light will reveal things you wish you hadn't seen. But it is always better to see the truth, however ugly, than to walk in the dark. Your independence, your peace of mind, your home, these are not selfish things to guard. They are sacred. Guard them fiercely. And so I sit here in my quiet, safe house. The security camera light blinks gently in the corner, a small green eye. It does not watch for invaders anymore. It simply watches over a life I fought for and won. If you have ever faced a betrayal that made you question everything, I would love to hear how you found your strength again. Please share your story in the comments below. Sometimes sharing our battles helps others arm themselves. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own worth, please give this video a like. It lets me know these difficult truths are worth speaking. And if you want to join this community of stories that champion resilience and real-life courage, please hit subscribe and share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening, for your time, and for being a part of this conversation. However your own story unfolds, I wish you clarity, courage, and a home, whether of brick or of heart, that is truly your own.